Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation. I'm doing this presentation for my final project of Philosophy of Science. In this presentation, I will explain about Islamization of science according to Sheikh Naquib Attas. But before that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sabta Bagus Virgananta. I studied in Mathematics department in Faculty of Science and Technology at the State Islamic University Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Well, let's start the presentation. Islamization of science according to Syed Naquib Attas. Biography of Syed M. Naquib Attas. Syed Muhammad Naquib bin Ali bin Abdullah bin Muhsin bin Muhammad Attas was born on 5 September 1931 in Bogor, West Java. The official genealogy of the Naquib Attas family found in his private collection indicates that he is the 37th descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, and of the descendants of blue-blood aristocrats. In general, his education started in Sukabumi, West Java, Indonesia, and Johor Bahru, Malaysia. Then, he studied at the University of Malaya in Singapore. Finally, he became a scientist whose works were well known in various scientific fields. In addition, he became a scientist whose In addition, he is also active in various organizations and is a permanent lecturer at the University of Malaya. He even served as a chairman of the literature department in Malaya Studies from 1970 to 1973. He served as a dean of the Faculty of Letters. Al-Attas found an intuition higher education called the International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, calling ISTEC, in Kuala Lumpur. With this intuition, Al-Attas and his colleagues and students conduct studies and research on Islamic thought and civilization and provide a critical response to Western civilization. Al-Attas taught, according to Al-Attas, the Islamization of science is a process of liberating knowledge from magical, mythological, sectarian influence, wrong nationalism, and Western-style cultural secularism so that it becomes a science that is uniquely Islamic. Here modern or contemporary science becomes a special priority in the process of Islamization of science because of this science has experienced much secularization by Western culture. The results of Al-Attas thoughts. First, view of Islamic epistemology. The decline of Islamic science is closely related to the very low consciousness of Muslim epistemology. The modern science currently used is a Western conception and is deemed incompatible with Islamic epistemology because of the nature of modern science, which is based on the separation of religion within science itself. Second, views on Westernization. Westernization here means of efforts to purify Islamic teachings from all Western values and influence. So that according to Al-Attas, the development of modern science, which contains the ideology of secularism, must be reformulated through the Islamization of science so that is not separated from the teachings and values of spirituality. The concept of Al-Attas thought. The results of Al-Attas thoughts have given birth to new conceptions and ideas in the field of education, so that the objectives of Islamization process become clearer and can be carried out on the target. Ideas about human. Humans are creatures who can think using reason and have a conscience, so that they can distinguish between truth and false from a science itself. Humans must realize that everything and knowledge that exists comes from God and must be used a form of worship to God. Second, ideas about the meaning of education. Islam divides education through three themes, namely tarbiyah, ta'dib, and ta'lim. According to Attas, ta'dib is the most appropriate theme because ta'dib has fulfilled the most important elements needed in education, namely knowledge, yang, teaching, ta'lim, and good counseling, tarbiyah, as well as formation, morals. Third, ideas about educational goals. The purpose of Islamic education from the point of view of Al-Attas is to instill virtue in person as an individual and as part of society at large. Ideally, he hopes to produce human beings who are good, moral and wise, have broad insight, views and reflect the exemplary behavior of the Prophet Muhammad. Fourth, ideas about educational system. The education system set by Al-Attas intends to present Islam and teach it in the educational process itself, which is not only religious science, but also rational, intellectual, and philosophical science. In short, the current education system must be created by integrating religious knowledge with existing modern science. And the last, ideas about science. According to Al-Attas, the definition of science from this point of epistemology means the arrival of meaning to the soul and vice versa. The meaning here means the correct meaning in accordance with the Islamic view that has been described by the conceptual system of the Quran. As a result, Al-Attas grouped these sciences into two parts, namely Fardu'ain, which includes religious science, Al-Quran, Sunnah, Sharia, theology, Sufism, and linguistic. And the second, Fardu Kifayah, who studies rational, intellectual, and philosophical science, human, natural, applied, and technological science. And the last, implication for educational institution, calling ISTEC. Implication in the world of Islamic education, namely the purpose of Islamic education is direct at producing quality human resource, quality in the intellectual field, and the most basic is the moral religious values that always guide it. Implications in formulating the Islamic education curriculum. The form and formulation of the curriculum here must contain the meaning and nuance of defined values, which should not be understood in the dichotomous form, namely allocating time for a specific discipline in discussing the issue of values. However, the socialization process can be approached with the content of all disciplines taught with the spirit of Islamic morality and morals. And the last, implications in the method of Islamic education. That is, the teaching methodology of education is more of a learning process than just teaching process. Besides the intellectualization process, there is also a process in culturation. That's all from me, more or less. I'm sorry. I hope can be useful and can well reserved. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.